Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. I am ready for the event.
ISS Research and Development Conference, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Station for a voice check.
Sounds like we have our astronaut on the line. Wow, we can see our astronaut. Thank you. Hi, this is Emily Calandrelli. How do you hear me?
I've got you loud and clear, and welcome to the International Space Station.
Wow. This is very exciting. So I am here with a bunch of middle school and high school students here in San Francisco, California, and we have a few questions for you. We are with astronaut Drew Feustel. So I'm going to kick this off with a couple questions, and then I'm going to hand it over to the students. My first quick question is, can you talk, Drew, a little bit about how STEM has enabled your career as an astronaut? Over.
Absolutely. I think the point about STEM in my career is that I wouldn't be here without STEM. I took some time after high school to determine what it was I wanted to do as a profession, and I attended community college for 3 years, and at that time I worked as a mechanic as well, so I was exploring different options in my life. And also at community college I studied both industrial design, which is sort of an artistic bent, and then also science. And in the end I decided that science was important to me, and that I was curious, and I had a lot of questions about the Earth and Earth processes, and then so I went ahead and pursued a degree in geosciences. And for me, that was a point at which I turned my attention to science, and ultimately that's what enabled me to become a scientist astronaut, and that's why I'm here today.
Very cool. Second question for you. What is it about the International Space Station that makes it such an incredible learning platform? Over.
Well, it really is an international sort of professional laboratory in space. I mean, we have all the capabilities up here that you find in many advanced laboratories on Earth, studying everything from agriculture to medicine to biosciences. I mean, we cover the whole span, Earth observation. Really, it's just a great platform for all science, not only for Earth observation and studying the effects of space on humans, but also looking at processes important to human life on Earth. So the work we do here is off the Earth because we're in space, but really it's focused for the Earth and for the inhabitants of our planet.
Thank you. My third question, and then I'll pass it off to the students, is how is the space station and various ISS STEM programs, like some of the ones we're hearing about today, helping to address gender and racial equality, and what else can be done?
Well, as you know, we have what I consider a good representation of females as astronauts and working in the space program. I consider that around NASA and throughout our agency, we see at least upwards of 40% of females working in high roles or important roles in management and engineering and technology. And we also have excellent representation within the astronaut program itself. I believe 35% of our astronauts almost through the history of the program have been female. We have a female astronaut with us now, and on every few missions we have female astronauts that are part of this program. And so I think NASA's being very proactive about trying to engage in that process and making sure that we maintain gender equality, and we value the inputs. In fact, the females in our programs are great leaders for us and provide great opportunities for the rest of us to excel and become good followers following their role models.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Lisa Rezis, and I go to Stuyvesant High School in New York. And my question is, the current graduating class have had astronauts in space for their entire life. How is this current generation empowered through authentic student experiences with space?
I think what is unique about the current generation, and I'm assuming, I mean, that is your generation, and it was almost my generation. I was born a few years before we actually went to space as humans. But the key is that I think space exploration and our view of Earth from space has allowed us to realize that the Earth, most importantly, the Earth is the only home for humans, and that it's fragile, and we can see that it's very fragile from here. I think it's important for as we share our experiences in space, what we're trying to convey to people who have not seen Earth from space, have not had this vantage point, is that Earth is small. And I think every day with technology, your generation realizes how small our planet really is. When I was growing up, it seemed very far-fetched to be traveling around the world or speaking to somebody in a different nation easily just by ringing the phone. And in fact, from space, from the space station, I can dial a call over an IP protocol phone, just like you would from a computer to a computer on Earth. And I can call anybody, anywhere, at any time nearly. And that is incredible to me. And I think that, I hope that your generation doesn't take it for granted, but I think it's amazing that you're growing up with that opportunity to realize that the things that we do on the other side of the planet impact and affect others on the other side of the planet. And what that means is all of us really live within the same habitat. When we look down on Earth, what we see from space is a community of people, one single community, not different nations. We see one atmosphere, one shell, one protective skin of a spacecraft, and that's our atmosphere that protects us on our spaceship. So to me, Earth is a spaceship, and it's hurtling through space, and we're all actually crew members of that spacecraft. And I hope that the model that we have shown here on the space station, with international cooperation between all of the partners and all of the nations who have a desire to participate in this project and do participate, we show that we can work together technically on Earth, and we can work together professionally as astronauts in space, even though politically some of our nations see great differences. So I hope that because your generation is growing up with humans in space, that you will realize the need to see this as a model and see our behavior and our performance and our interactions as a model for the way that humans should act and behave on Earth.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sophia Chen. I go to Lakeside School in Seattle, Washington. And my question is, how would you sum up the importance of the ISS to humankind and the world?
That's a great question, and that allows me to elaborate on the answer that I just gave. I see space as the future of humankind. I believe that there is a need for us to learn to live off of the planet and embrace space and space exploration. We don't really know what's out there. The Hubble telescope and other instruments have shown us that there are many possibilities, I believe, for life in space, and many opportunities for humans or a species like ours to exist out in space. And we also know the perils of having only one planet to live on. And at NASA we call that single fault tolerant, which means if you lose that one protection that you have, you could be done for. And so I think the key is that space, ISS is a stepping stone that's going to allow humans to learn to live in space and work in space and live off of the planet and find ways to continue our existence.
Okay, hi, my name is Elliot Lee, and I'm from Seattle, Washington, Bellarmine Prep High. So how does NASA track the increasing amount of space debris? Does it pose a threat to the ISS? Over.
That's a good question, and it's a common problem, a constant problem for us in space. There is always a threat of debris in space, and debris can be natural debris that's been created by the universe and that flies around, the things that have, for example, made the dinosaurs extinct and created large craters in many orbiting bodies around the sun. But there's also man-made debris, those things that are created by exploding satellites, or even debris, for example, that even myself created on my last spacewalk, where I lost a small piece of wire, but that wire traveling 17,000 miles an hour in the opposite direction of a spacecraft, for example, could do a great amount of damage. So there are individuals and departments at NASA that track space debris, and the Air Force Space Command also has an organization that tracks space debris and provides those details to NASA on a regular basis, so that if we need to, we can adjust our orbit by using a propulsive burn to increase the speed of the space station, and by doing so, that actually raises its altitude or changes its altitude with respect to any object that we see that may be on a collision course with the space station, or meets certain criteria to be within a certain range from hitting the space station.
Hello, my name is Sai Pranab Venkatakrishnan. Do you got that? You can call me Sai. Yeah. So my question to you is, how did you know you wanted to be an astronaut, and what age were you when you realized?
Well, I was fairly young when I realized that I wanted to be an astronaut, but for me, it wasn't so much that I wanted to be an astronaut. It was more that I believed that someday I would be an astronaut and have an opportunity to work in the space program. I don't know why that is. I grew up watching science fiction television and science fiction movies, and I always thought that would be a neat thing to do when I grew up, but I had it in the back of my mind that that's what I would do, that someday I would have that opportunity. And I've been very lucky in my life to find myself here today speaking with you and sharing that story. And I think that I always had subconsciously that drive in my head that said, that allowed me to continue on with my career and my training and reaching my goals, that allowed me to be fortunate enough to be selected as an astronaut now.
Hello, my name is Peyton Kelly Van Domlin, and I'm homeschooled from Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. And my question is, aside from STEM courses, what elective college courses did you take that have proven to be beneficial in your career as an astronaut? Over.
That's a great question. I mentioned it earlier, but I was a mechanic. I was a professional mechanic for several years. I took shop class growing up, and found ways to look at other venues and training that could benefit just the work that I did every day. So mechanics was just something I was interested in. I grew up in Detroit, so I was interested in automobiles, and I enjoy working on cars. Those skills, those apprentice-type skills of welding and metalworking and plumbing, electrical work, those things have all been very helpful to me on the space station. In fact, a lot of the things that we do up here center around maintenance and just keeping the space station functional. So I rely on those skills. Those aren't necessarily STEM skills. They're not science skills. Those are practical skills that I use not only here every day, but also when I'm back home on Earth.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Twesme, and I am from Lake Mills High School. And my question is, looking at how the involvement of women in space-related and scientific fields has changed, where do you believe it'll go in the future?
And specifically, where do I believe women will be in the future, or where do I believe humans and space exploration will be in the future?
Well, I think how involved women will be in the space programs will be.
Well, yeah, it's women are already heavily involved in the space program, and women make great leaders, and I don't see any reason why we should think otherwise. I I don't feel that we're lacking in that area right now, although statistics would show that we are. And I would encourage women and young girls to pursue careers in STEM, science, engineering, technology, mathematics. History has proven that women make great leaders, and we are all extremely receptive to that idea. And I think you should continue to follow your dreams just like anybody else. Place a goal out there that is as high as you can see or imagine, and then go for it. Nothing really should stop you. I don't believe there are any obstacles in your way.
Hello, I'm Sydney Wagner. I'm from Vista, California, and my question is, if you could give yourself one piece of advice at our age, what would you say and why?
Well, I've already sort of said it, and that is don't give up on your dreams. And I also believe that anything is possible. I had no idea coming out of high school with mediocre grades and attending community college that I would ever end up being an astronaut. I went on from community college to obtain a PhD in seismology and worked for one of the largest oil companies in the world, ExxonMobil, and then eventually made it here to NASA, and I've been here at NASA for 18 years. When I was young and heard somebody say to me, "You can do anything you want, your dreams are all possible, believe in them," I thought it was a cliche. But knowing that I made it from high school and community college and not really knowing what I wanted to space and space exploration really is proof that anybody can do anything they want, and you just need to open the doors that are in front of you and don't leave any opportunities uninvestigated. Take every chance that you can and don't lose sight of those dreams.
Hi, my name is Evie Carrington. I'm also from Vista, California, and my question is, what is a typical day like on the International Space Station?
A typical day is pretty busy, and I know there's some representatives from NASA at the conference now that could explain it to you in detail, as could I. But essentially, the one thing that's guaranteed for us is 8.5 hours of scheduled sleep, an hour of lunch, an hour and a half of breakfast, and a couple hours at night of downtime before we go to bed. And the rest of the day is different. Every day is different. We're scheduled for work for about 8.5 hours a day. And that means that we spend our days not only doing science, but maintenance and upkeep of the space station, and also taking opportunities to speak with folks like you. So a typical day involves waking up all at the same time. There's 6 crew members on orbit. We all wake up for a conference at about 7:30 in the morning, so we get up an hour earlier. We have that morning conference, and then we get to work. Our lunchtime is usually staggered a bit, but then in between lunch and sleep, we'll have about 2.5 hours scheduled for exercise, and the rest of the time is work. And every day is different. And that's what's amazing about being up here, is that you can expect that you'll see something new or experience something new every single day. And over 200 days, by the time I'm done with 200 days on orbit, I won't be surprised if I never saw an event or task repeat exactly the same way that it was the days prior. So that's what's neat about being up here, is that you really never know what to expect. Sometimes there's curveballs, and you just have to sort of go with the flow. But we enjoy it up here. We try not to take it for granted, and we realize this is a very special place to be. And our real objective is to try and share the stories and our experiences with people on Earth, so everybody can engage in this and understand what our future holds for us in space.
Hi, my name is Adela Cervantes, and I'm from Charlottesville, Virginia. And my question for you is, if you had a choice of fast food on the space station, what would it be?
And please repeat the question. I didn't catch the last part. Something secret, what would it be on the space station?
Oh, sorry. If you had a choice of fast food on the space station, what would it be?
I don't really eat that much fast food when I'm on Earth, so it's hard to say, but I can tell you that right about now, after being in space for 4 months, I could really go for a big, juicy hamburger. So it probably wouldn't care too much about what branding it had. It just needed to be a nice, juicy hamburger.
Hi, I'm Jack Timmons from Charlottesville, Virginia as well. And I was wondering what your favorite experiment on the ISS has been.
That's a tough question. I can't say that I have a favorite because, as I mentioned before, every day is different, and we have over 250 experiments ongoing throughout several increments on board the International Space Station. So it's tough to say. I like it when we're growing plants or grass or flowers on the International Space Station. Right now we have an algae experiment going on. We're looking at mobility and fertility and reproduction issues. We're looking at we're looking at pharmaceuticals and medication related to cancer treatment. And we're also looking at, I guess we have the Project Genes in Space as well, though I haven't been working on that too much. There's a lot of neat things going on here, and it amazes me to see the details of what those things are. But I can't say that I have a favorite because I don't want to call one out. But suffice it to say that every day is something a little bit different and very interesting.
Drew, I know we don't have too much more time with you. One last question. While I'm on stage with a lot of middle school and high school students, the demographic of our audience is a bit older. What would you suggest? What advice would you give to parents and maybe educators on how to get younger kids excited about space exploration?
Well, I'll go back to what I said earlier, and that is I think that this generation, the youth of our world, is growing up in a much smaller world than we did. And I think that sometimes it's challenging for us as adults and older generations to relate to how much information they see every day, their ability to understand what's going around the world. And I think it's important for us to emphasize that and try to put that in a context that they can understand and talk to them about the planet, space, and space exploration. And I really believe that there's a need for us to explore and continue. It seems maybe it seems idealistic or a little bit I don't know, grandiose, but to say that, humans have to learn to live off this planet. We are a single planet species, and I can't emphasize that enough. And I think the sooner that kids start thinking about what's past the horizon, not just what's down the block or around the corner, but really more globally about how the things they do and the things they learn and the actions they take affect people around the world, and how the actions that our governments take affect people around the world. Those things are important, and the sooner they start thinking globally, the better off we will be, they will be, and their future generations will be. I think that's what's important.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you, ISS Research and Development Conference and participants. Station, we're now resuming operational audio communications.